Good, recording is up, and then I'll just be a minute or so while I'm looking for something to talk about.
Right.
Disrupting. Stay
Let's
put.
keep each other safe.
Thanks. Team, bring up here.
Nice tracking, good job. Okay. There walked a little bit through like this open portion, so it rather than maybe like sticking towards this side where we can use cover, we kind of like slowly walk all the way over here, which just gives them a lot of time to shoot at us. That gets us down to like 1 HP. Depth on cover as we go along here, but we take a lot of damage just because we leave cover, and that maybe results in death, and yep, death. So that's
My goal.
good.
My goal there was to take care of the Zenyatta, at least one of the supports. So that's why.
Yeah, and which is still accomplishable. Just, I mean, like you can, for example, right, like you can see Junkrat just as fine from here as you can from here, right? It's the same exact angle. So us leaving this cover where we can go boop, now you can't see me. Us leaving that to go all the way over here is what got us killed. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yep. So just gotta keep an eye out on that. Good kill on good two kills, but we still die, and then that's just lack of value and whatnot.
Anyone need some cold refreshment?
Okay. All right. So as of the moment, noticing a lack of helixes. So we'll maybe go over some how to use helixes. Whenever we get the chance, I'll like exit out and we'll go over a couple things in training range. But for the current moment, I'm just noticing that we've used it like one time. You know, it's a 6-second cooldown, and we're using. Or sorry, yeah. So is it 6 or 8, something like that, right? Cooldown, and then we're using it once every minute and 10 seconds. So just want to be making sure we're looking to use it. So for example, here when we get D.Va down, we could have used it when we were kind of poking at the snipers. Here we're in this duel with D.Va, and she gets down to 1 HP. So now as soon as her DM goes down, we probably want to be healing, or sorry, helixing is what I meant to say. So like here, for example, could helix her, and that could burst down her mech, and hopefully kill her. Same thing here. And then we just want to be careful once again about like peeking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, and because that ends up getting us shredded. We'll have to keep an eye on that because that maybe seems like it might be coming up frequently. Okay, be really careful because I'm noticing we're standing still a lot there. Gotta be really careful about standing still. We really only ever want to be standing still if we're absolutely sure that nobody's able to see us or shoot at us. We got very, very close there to getting domed in the head by Widowmaker. Not sure. She might have, if that was better, Widowmaker might even gotten domed in the head. So we just want to be careful about standing still for, extended periods of time. Yeah, maybe we dropping health pack or just running back to team. All right. Yep. All right. So we're gonna exit out here. We're gonna go over 2 things real quick. Firstly, I guess we'll go over helix usage since I just mentioned. We'll go over that, and then next we'll go over some positioning. So helix usage as soldier. You got thing I guess I'll mention with this is ranging. So we already talked about make sure you're using it. And then I guess the second thing is that you want to use it to burst down people is the other idea because it does 120 damage. So you can burst down people's health bars really, really fast. When you're within 20 meters, so this is the rough range, when you're within 20 meters, usually it wants to be used as a finisher. So we go tap, 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 helix, and they're dead. Or we can actually do this really fast, and they'll burst really, really quickly. And the idea behind that is the faster we kill someone, the less time they have to get away, to heal, to run, to get tanking, and get around the corner and things like that. So we want to burst down people quickly. Now, if we're further away, well, now Helix isn't as good as a finisher because if we try to use it to finish, well, firstly, it's less accurate because we're out of range, and then secondly, it's going to have a delay because it's a projectile and it's going to be delayed to hit them, so it's now no longer even as fast of a burst. So if we go tap 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 helix, it's just delayed and it's less accurate. So instead, the further away we go, we actually want a helix to open, so we'd helix first and then shoot, and then now all that damage gets there all at the same time, so we can now once again burst down their health just by using it to start rather than to finish. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yep. Helix as well, when you're looking to use it, don't helix at somebody. You want to helix, and I didn't really see if we're using this tech or not. I haven't seen it yet. Don't helix at people, because if we miss, it goes sailing off into Narnia. But if we aim at their feet and we miss, then we get splash damage, right? So instead, when you go for helixes, right, you're going to swap down from head level, you're going to aim at their feet, you get the direct shot if you get the direct shot, and if you don't, then you still hit them.
Yeah, that's what I try to go for anyways.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
So now let's go over some positioning, because I've noticed that we've died 3 times already, and every time so far it seems to have been due to positioning. So if we are standing right here, right, and the enemy team's standing right there, and they're shooting at us, let's say it's 5 people aiming straight at us, it's going to take us, right? Most characters can't sprint, but let's say we do sprint, right? It's going to take us 1, 2, maybe and a half or so, maybe 2. Whereas, other characters might not even be able to sprint and things like that. But from here, you cannot get shot at. This is solid object, solid cover. You cannot shoot through that, and that means that we're perfectly safe now. But in that time it took me to walk here, I died, because 2 seconds is way too long, right? You can die. You can get melted by 5 people in 2 seconds. You can get melted by 1 person in 2 seconds. So, therefore, this was bad positioning. Whereas if I'm right here, well, I can do all the same stuff from here, except for now it takes me half a second to duck behind cover. So, therefore, good positioning is the usage of cover, whereas bad positioning is the absence of cover. It's the difference between half a second and 2 seconds, which is like 4 times the speed of getting around the corner. So, want to be looking to use it, and it's all over the place. You have slopes like so. You have pillars, so like when you're in between shots, when you're reloading, when you're being shot at. Corners, same thing, when they're using abilities and ultimates. Random objects sitting around like the payload, pillar, corner, doorway, and then on top of that, high grounds all act as natural cover. They can see you, now they can't. They can see you, now they can't. The bot down there. On top of that, 2/3 of the characters can't reach you on high ground. That adds an additional, without taking like the stairs, that adds an additional layer of survivability. And then the third that can reach you, they need to use abilities, which means that now they're out of abilities and you can just run away. And finally, on high ground, you have visibility. You can see over there, over here, here. But when we're on low ground, well, we can't see over there, can't see over there, can't see any of this high ground. So I did see you using high ground, but even when you're on high ground, you want to make sure that you're using it appropriately, because you can use it poorly, right? Like, let's say I'm right here, and I'm on the high ground, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people who can see me. Can you shoot at 5 people at the same time?
Nope.
No. Can 5 people at the same time shoot at you?
Yes.
Yes. So we probably don't want to be standing here, because this means that they can shoot at us very, very easily. So sometimes high ground's a little too thin or too low to the ground. The lower the high ground is, the better angles they'll have on you, and also sometimes high grounds can be too thin, which also doesn't make it great. So there are bad high grounds to be standing on, but on most high grounds you should be able to do something like this, where we back away from the ledge and we add in a crouch. So now only 2 people can see us. We move to the left, and now only 1 person can see us, right? So we go tap, 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 tap. Now we, move on to the next person, tap, 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 tap. And then maybe we can peek to see where everyone's at, and then back up, and then peek. But we just want to make sure that we're not exposing ourselves openly to their entire team to shoot at us for free. First death was we strayed from way too far away from cover, so we did this, where we had cover, and we went like this, right? And we went way too far away from cover. And then the third death, we just were standing smack dab in the middle of the open, and then Widowmaker sniped us. All that making sense? Any questions on that?
Nope. Making sense.
Alright, gotcha. Let's head back then.
Welcome to ready for battle.
Yeah, possibly could have stayed high ground as well there. Yeah, like the this high ground's probably not too shabby of positioning.
It's go time.
Okay. I would usually recommend don't drop from your good positioning. So high ground, you don't want to just kind of give it up randomly when high ground's such fantastic positioning as we mentioned before. Usually you want to look to try to maintain it. Now let's look at what we just did. We kind of just dropped into the middle of 5 people. Thing going for us. So this is essentially just like running in 1v5. Right? Does that usually go well?
Yeah, no.
Not really. So we got to be very, very careful of this. Instead, I'm not sure. This looked intentional. Let's watch that again. This looks to be. It's possible that was an accident. I'm not
No,
sure.
it was intentional.
Is intentional? Okay.
It was intentional. Like I said, this
Gotcha.
whole game, I was very sluggish. I didn't really put into account with everything at this time. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I only remember like some tidbits, but I know that was intentional.
Gotcha. Yep. So, obviously gonna die in like 1 second.
This ends now.
And we're dead. All right. I'm surprised we didn't die faster.
Yeah.
All right. So now we got Visor. That's death. I'm just going to keep track of this because we'll probably talk about survivability soon. But that's death number 4 so far.
I'll try to repay the favor.
Yeah, good cover. Yep, good decision. We lost that, so we just want to be regrouping. Notice how we're kind of smack dab in the middle of the open, whereas instead what we could be doing is like, getting here and then shooting, or getting, like hugging this right wall a bit better than kind of standing right there in the middle, which would give us a lot more room to work with. Right now we just want to be grouping up. Yep, because then we die. They are snipers, you are not, right? We don't want to play at their range. We'll maybe go over some of your own ranging, but I mean, for the current moment, you're a mid-range character, they're a sniper, so don't play to their game. If the only possible angle you have is a sniper angle, then don't try to outsnipe the snipers. It's not usually going to work out too well. So I would just run away, get around the corner, and just regroup with your team. Maybe take high ground, get ready for your visor, but there's no reason to kind of be peeking and trying to duel them. Okay. Right now, probably want to be taking high ground, to be honest. We could have gone up top left, like through this pathway over here.
Yes. No.
This one's the simpler one. Walk up the leg here. Jump on, you're at the top of the leg. Jump on the little wires, and then you're pretty much up. You just walk over to the side, and you're up to the top. Right. Pretty simple. This side is also not super complicated. It's just harder to see where you're jumping. Firstly, you jump on this leg. Then you jump from the leg up to kind of like here or so. Just basically just like don't run, don't sprint forward. Just like hop up and tap forwards, and that's about all you're doing, right? You jump up this leg. I think the next one's right here or so. Then you jump from that to this little platform, right? And then you jump from that little platform. Yeah. It's also hard to tell while we're standing here. You might jump up to this platform, I'm not sure. And then you jump from there to this one right here, this little bar, and then you jump from bar over to the side. So it's just a couple hops, and then you're up. So just experiment with it when you get the chance. Here, just could be looking to take high ground, just because as we discussed before, that's really fantastic positioning. Yep.
Let the kitsune guide you.
I've got you in my
Okay.
sights.
That was minorly so you're right. This is a good opportunity to maybe visor from, but we kind of are a little bit delayed to notice. Oh yeah, we have a Kitsune rush, and then we double back, and then the
Got you in my
issue
sights.
is that we pop sights before we even have visibility on anything. Pop fights after you can see things, not before you can see things, because otherwise they can just keep running around that corner and you could never see them. Also, as far as you know, there's nothing to shoot at. So make sure you're seeing people before you're popping visor. Also, don't hold down your left click if there's nobody to see. You don't have unlimited ammo. So make sure you can see the sojourn before you're holding on left click. Okay, nice kill. Minor thing, but watch spam jumping. That's when we just go jump, 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 jump. It will make you easier to headshot and can throw off your aim, and ultimately doesn't give you any benefit. The only time you'd ever want to do that is if you're right on top of somebody, because then that can send your head above their screen. But if you're at a distance, that just makes you easier to shoot, not harder to shoot. That, like I said before, it's not really giving you any other benefit. So it's a minor bad habit to break. Nothing gonna be, nothing topping the charts. Okay, could be once again we have an in-between fight portion. So once again, look to take high ground. High ground's fantastic positioning. You want to take it any chance you get, whether that be in fight, out of fight. Now you don't want to take it if it's going to take a super long time in the middle of the fight. But in between fights, you have about like 10-20 seconds to be making that rotation and go and get up to the high ground. So you have plenty of time to be doing that. So here we could be running around all the way around to the top. We could be climbing the robots, but instead we're kind of sitting off in this room over here. Very nice.
Disrupting.
Helix, Helix.
This ends now. Go time.
Helix, Helix, Helix. There you go.
You can't beat me.
So Helix looking minorly delayed in some of these fights. Here we go.
Heat check. Affirmative.
Alright, so let's rewatch this. Firstly, they do not have trance, and they just threw in Diva Bomb, right? So what's blocking visor, right? Is the first question I'm asking, right? So they're being pointed out a couple things that was wrong with this fight. Firstly, we should be on high ground. Secondly, we could probably be comboing our visor with this ultimate, because visor Kitsune Rush is a very powerful combo. It's basically like, I don't know if I've heard people doing like the math yet on it, so I don't know if I've heard an explanation on it, but I would equate it to basically being just as good as a nano visor, right? Like it's pretty much on par, right? It's very, very similar in power. You don't get the damage reduction that the nano gives you, but you get higher reload speed, faster reload speed, faster movement to catch up to people, and you're also going to be harder to hit while you're moving around, which means you'll take less damage. And then of course you do faster shoot speed. So overall you're doing more damage faster. You can kind of shred people down really, really quick. So look to combo it here. The other thing is that look how far ahead of our whole team we are. Popping visor and just shredding everybody right here. That might not be as much of an issue. are paying attention to their team here. And then also no cover once again, right? So we're not utilizing cover, not knowing that they're there, not taking high ground, not really, this is just what was this? Five, six? Is it six?
I,
Trying
I
to remember.
think this was 6.
6. All right, gotcha. So why don't we talk about survivability real quick because it's keeping to about the 1 per minute mark, roughly, right? So let's talk about why that is so bad because a lot of people know, oh yeah, dying's bad. I know that, but a lot of them don't really think through like what are the major ramifications of death because it's actually usually worse than people think it is. When you die, it is 10 seconds of respawn, which everyone knows, but then also you have to take into account as well, it's also 10 seconds of walk back to the fight, which is roughly speaking about 20 seconds per death. So if we do 20, and then let's say in this game that we keep this 1 per minute death rate, let's just say this is a, I don't know, let's be we'll be minorly generous with it. Let's say that this is a 17-minute game, or something like that. Let's just say 17. So that's 17 deaths, right, for this game if we kept up that same rate that we're at right now. So that would be 20 times 17, which is a big number, and then that divided by 60 would mean that during this game, we would be dead for approximately 5 minutes and 40 seconds, which is a lot of time to be dead for, right? So in a game that is 17 minutes, that is approximately, 1/3 to 1/4 of your gameplay time that you are dead for, which is a lot of time. In 5 minutes and 40 seconds, you could be getting in maybe let's say like 3, maybe 4 ultimates during that time. You could be getting in a lot of kills, a lot of damage, a lot of elims. It's just an insane amount of time to be dead for. Now, the other thing to note is that it's not just that you're getting a lack of value during this time, it's also negative value. This is your impact on losing the fight when you die, because let's take this fight for example, when we're dying first. When we're dying, now we're putting our team at a disadvantage, and now they're more likely to lose this fight without us. We lose out on as well on our ability to carry and and win the fight and potentially carry our teammates. It's saying, okay, I'm going to rely on my platinum teammates to win this platinum game, which is only going to work for you about 50% of the time. So overall, not great to die. Want to look to cut it out because we can get back literally minutes per game of our gameplay and have a lot more impact, have more practice time, have more fun. Overall, benefits all around. Now, when you're looking to fix your deaths, there are a couple different reasons why people die. So firstly, you think, okay, and this is the process to self-improvement and fixing mistakes in the first place. But firstly, you have to identify what is the mistake. Well, the mistake is dying. What is the issue within the mistake? So not just saying, oh, I died, that was wrong. Saying, okay, why did I die? What was my impact on me dying there? Right? You got to think through that. So what would you say are some common reasons why people die? We've already kind of drilled into one of them, but what would you say are some common ones?
Well, considering that you've already pointed out of my poor positioning,
Yep.
it could also be lack of positional awareness, just awareness in general.
Yep. So
There's like a
fantastic.
bunch of different variables that go into it, I suppose.
Yeah, you named the two biggest categories: poor positioning and lack of awareness. Not noticing like that their entire team is right next to you, right?
Yeah.
Then
I didn't realize it because of the fucking diva bomb.
yep.
So it was bad. Okay.
So then a couple other things to go into this would be over aggression, such as jumping into the middle of 5 people, which this is now like number 2 of that. Right? Then there's poor ability usage. So let's say, or sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Misuse of abilities, I guess, is usually what I say. That would be like if we don't health pack, or if we don't helix in a duel, or if we forget to sprint away from danger, that sort of thing. And then other minor ones would be like poor movement. So if we're like standing still into a widow headshot, things like that. So and then like
I'll
a
be right
couple other
back.
minor
Sorry.
ones.
1 second.
All good.
All right, my apologies.
No problem. All right, so let's hop back into it. You ready?
Yep.
All right. So, that's deaths. That's we want to make sure that you're looking to stop those. So the next step is looking for the solution to the deaths, which is usually the opposite of the death. So, or the mistake, right? The solution is usually the opposite of the mistake, not always, but usually. So if your mistake is, or the issue is that you're out in the open, the solution is to not be out in the open, which means cover, right? So same thing with being aware. If your mistake is that you're not being aware, then the solution is being aware, which we'll maybe discuss a little bit more about of application. And that's the final step, is making sure you're looking to put it into practice. So I guess why don't we cover that now, right? Making sure you're looking to put it in practice. How do you put things into practice in your gameplay? You work on things pretty much the same way you work on anything, and that is that while you're playing, you're going to make sure that you're actively focusing on the thing you're trying to work on. That means that you're not going to autopilot. you're not going to just play to play, and contrary to popular belief, you're not going to purely play to win, because then you just never really go anywhere, you stagnate. Whereas when you play to improve, then you actually go places, and you win games. Then what that actually looks like within your gameplay is, let's pick out something like positioning. You're going to pick out something like positioning, and you're going to think to yourself, positioning, cover, high ground, high ground. And you're going to give yourself a constant stream of reminders, so that when you are in your game, your positioning is probably going to be a bit better. If you're probably going to take high ground a bit more if you're thinking about high ground than if you're not. And then that your positioning is going to be better because of that. When you do that for a long enough period of time, it forms it as a positive habit. Once it forms as a positive habit, then there's not really as much to really worry about at that point. It just comes naturally, and then you can move on to something else to work on. And then final thing is, just don't try to do everything all at once. That'll be way too overwhelming. Instead, focus on one category of things, or 1 to 3 smaller things within a category. That's about it. All that makes sense. Any questions?
Nope, everything makes sense so far.
All right.
Hold it. Clear out. Coming through.
All right, sorry, I was not in your perspective there. Whoopsie. But you're dead anyways.
I've got you in my sights.
All right, so here, problemo is that at this point, firstly noting that we're kind of pushed really far ahead of our team, where we've kind of pushed them off. The only one of them that's actually in on our part of the side of the map more. Using visor outside of fights usually isn't, or any ultimate outside of fights usually isn't the way to go. And then also, like I said before, we're just really far forwards, because this is like an overextension, and then we end up wasting most of the visor. Okay, notice it once again, very out in the open, right? Kind of hammering away at that, and then we get dead because of that. So we're not gonna obvious, like, deaths will probably keep happening. We don't have to spend the entire time on it though, but note that it's still continuing. Cover, take high ground. Probably could be coming out of spawn like left side, so we can just walk straight up there. Okay, right now we got 2 picks, so we can probably be pushing in.
Breaking them down.
Behind you.
Ready to overclock. You with me?
30 seconds remaining.
Okay, good job not shooting at that. Nice Helix. Helix has been looking a bit better. Not as many issues with it. Like minor things here and there. We're kind of like, they have a transcendence on here, and our trance is going to be running out in a second. And then just notice how we're like once again really far out in the open, not really using that right side cover. Right now we're using cover a bit better, but we keep exiting it.
This ends.
Also, I'm not sure if we noticed what Sigma's on top of us here. Discorded and half HP, so that's an easy opportunity right there. But it didn't look like we noticed him there.
Guide you.
Helix. So Helix rocket, but then also what's the? I'll let you start trying to see if you can identify the mistakes, the deaths here, because that's usually part of the process of self-improvement, of being able to identify your own mistakes and whatnot. Why do you think you die here?
Extended.
overextended. That's the big one. And then that's like the big major one. And then kind of usually when you're overextended, that means you're also out of positioning. So it's kind of a subcategory of being out of position. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Why am I not taking blasted?
Okay. There, I mean, it's a stall fight, so the death isn't really massive. But rather than trying to sprint in and get over here in Visor, we probably could have just like played a bit more passive. Maybe come over here or even here and placed health pack and then visored from here, where we have largely same amount of visibility, but we're not sprinting into their team, and we might be able to get a pick or two that way. That makes sense. We're just getting a little over aggro here when we don't really need to. We can kind of let our team touch for us.
Yeah, I think what I remember here is when I was going down into that little crevice, I was planning to get the big health pack and then keep going, go to the other side, go behind in Visor. But for some reason, something clicked for me to turn around and just use the Visor
Yeah,
there.
which even if we went up and went around, I don't think that's the play to make for two reasons. Firstly, just because this is walking past 5 people, and especially the higher up in ranks you go, that's going to get you killed immediately. And if you're just walking right next to 5 people, you're dead. And then secondly, even if we manage to make it down there, then if we stay here, this is super dangerous. But then even if we went all the way around, always a bad. If you had extra time on your hands, then sure, feel free to do that. But that don't take longer rotations are okay in between fights, not in the fights.
That's better. Each day I grow stronger.
My barrier is gone.
Helix for Hanzo.
Anyone need some cold relief?
Okay, swapping targets a bit too frequently there, kind of swapping between Sing and Hanzo on a much too regular of a basis. We're also focusing like Sigma too much on Hanzo's an option next to him, so unless Sigma is low or out of position or you have another opportunity, focus the easier target to kill. So Hanzo is definitely the target, not Sigma. So here once again, notice how we're focusing Sigma when Hanzo's right next to him. That's target priority, shooting at the easier thing to kill, not the harder thing to kill.
I'll try to repay the favor. Regret. I move with the payload. Marked by fire. Damn it. That's better. Team, break up here. I've got you in my sight.
My barrier is gone.
Okay, good combo. Ultimate. Once again, maybe like stop shooting if you're shooting into a shield, so just let go, and then that way you have ammo for when you are now no longer shooting a shield. Okay, Zenyatta, good job. Okay. Right now, you can probably be pushing forwards, looking to take high grounds. you don't need, I mean, I don't know if we have to spend too much time on this, but you only ever need one. I can go in depth if we could be going and taking high ground, for example. Just gonna be better off leaving on cart, going maybe getting some stagger kills. Here could maybe be like running up behind them right now, as an option. Oh, I didn't mean to go there. But this is a little far forwards, right? Like ahead of our team, kind of out in the open. Or Hanzo start looking at us, anything. Like we're just really far forwards here, not really having too much cover.
Careful, there's more of them than us. That's better.
Minor question, but do you know how to helix jump?
No.
No. All right. Well, we can go over that next time we go to the training range here in a few minutes. Just because that's a handy tech to know how to do. So, for example, here you could have, if you're trying to run away and escape, we could helix jump from here to here. You can also do this vice versa, so we could helix jump up and around over to here from that high ground. So that's a helix jump spot, and there's also usually going to be helix jump spots like on on most maps you have something somewhere. Like for example, here if we're trying to get up to high ground, pretty easily, we could go and stand on this thing or the couch and just helix jump up to high ground. Across either way. You can jump across from here to stand on this and climb up this way, or you can jump across this way to over here. Also, another thing on this point, in case you weren't aware, is you can walk across this ledge the whole way around on squishy characters, not on tanks. All right, why don't we go over that now, because we're starting to get down to the end of time here. So this is, like I said before, you're usually going to find most spots.
Every soldier needs a cause.
But there's also, if you want to, you can probably find like YouTube videos on people who have spots for helix jump. But basically for helix jump, this is normal jump, right? Or I guess let me come down here, right? This is normal jump right here. Is that? But if I helix at the floor while jumping, so both at the exact same time, now I go up to here with my jump, right? And then if you're trying to get horizontal distance, I can helix and then run forwards, right? So that means that I can do something like this, for example. If I'm trying to get from here to there, I can helix jump and and then sprint forward. So it's helix and jump at the exact same time, right? Aiming at the floor and then sprinting right afterwards, and then that's how you can helix jump up and cover distances like that. Right, so that's gonna be really, like, look at that distance that you can cover with that. You're gonna be able to do that on a lot of different maps and different places. Make sense?
It does.
Who needs healing?
All right, let's start wrapping up. So we're gonna go over the wrap up and go over the main points and do a quick review over everything for this session. Abilities, sprint, not too shabby. Man, I don't really think there's too much wrong with it. I just say we don't really have too much map mobility. Usually we kind of like lock into a place and then we sit there, which maybe you should be doing a bit more. We could, in future sessions, go over more of that. We didn't really review it too much. It wasn't the most pressing issue, but like for example, we wouldn't use it to sprint around the high grounds, right? That was the thing. We'd kind of just be like, okay, I'm here. I'm gonna go pew 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 pew. But we'd never, we wouldn't go on off angles or flanks too often. We wouldn't really take high grounds too often. So I just be a bit more mobile, but don't be aimlessly running around. But that, like I said, that's something we can talk about more in the future. Health pack, not perfect, but pretty decent. Sometimes we'll mess it up and use it when we don't need to, or we won't use it when we do need to, as with everybody who uses it. Helix rocket, 20 meters, finish within 20 meters. And past 20 meters, you're going to open with it, right? I got that right. You open with it from here, so that by the time it reaches them, you get it all in, and then aim at their feet, like you said you were doing anyways. And that's about it. Overall abilities, not too important, not too major for you to work on. It's it's a low, maybe a low to medium priority for you to work on. Visor, make sure when you're visoring you actually have people to see. Don't blind visor, so don't be around here and then pop visor unless you're like absolutely certain you know where people are. And then besides that, when you are visoring, look to combo with like the Kiriko ult. Usually high ground, like better positioning is going to help you on your visors as well. Let's see what else was there. Don't hold down the left click if there's nobody to aim at, so we'd be like, the person would run around the corner and then we would just empty our whole clip, right? So make sure you're not doing that. Stop shooting if there's nobody to shoot at. Overall, it's minor things. Probably a bit higher than your abilities, but it's still like a low to medium priority. Let's do mechanics first. Mechanics, not too shabby. Like a couple minor things, like make sure we're shooting at the better targets, so don't be shooting at Sigma when Hanzo's right next to him. That sort of thing. So shoot the easiest targets to kill. Tanks are usually the hardest targets to kill, unless you have the opportunity to shoot at them. On top of that, watch for those opportunities. There'd be somebody, sometimes there are people who were overextended and we wouldn't look at them, or we're low HP and we wouldn't look at them, right? So make sure we're paying attention to those things. And then besides that, don't know if there's too much else. Yeah, I'm not thinking like there's the minor thing of holding down left click, and then besides that, I don't think there's too much else with your mechanics. Overall, kind of around the same, low and medium, something like that. Now, great. The other ones are kind of like, yeah, they need a bit, they could be worked on, but these ones are the major ones. So then comes positioning. Positioning, make sure you're using cover. Good positioning is the usage of cover. Bad positioning is the absence of cover. And we kind of played it out in the open the entire game, right? And that got us killed a lot. This was very, very closely linked with your survivability. Make sure that you, within positioning, that you are taking high grounds. High grounds is fantastic positioning for extra survivability as well as visibility. You'll notice that once your positioning gets better, that it actually sets up your mechanics. You could have the best mechanics in the world. Like, for example, you can have the aimbotters, right, playing. They'll still get rolled by top 500 players, open and die instantly. Or they will not be in high grounds to set up their positioning. There's other awareness things we'll cover in the future, or sorry, positioning things we'll maybe cover that will help it, but take high grounds, it's fantastic. Rotate there in between every single fight, and every chance you get, just take the best positioning possible. Besides that, make sure you're playing at a mid-range. We could have maybe gone over that, but we didn't really spend too much time on it, but just make sure you're playing mid-range, not long-ranged as Soldier. I think that's mainly it with your positioning. Overall, then survivability also pairs in with that. We'll kind of do survivability because they're kind of interlinked a bit. And your survivability, just make sure you're staying alive, right? Think through why you're dying, look to solve it. As you don't, I wouldn't say you're going to need to focus on survivability as much, because as you work on positioning and as you work on awareness, your survivability will naturally get better. So I wouldn't say for the current moment, you're not really going to have to like think, I gotta stay alive, I gotta stay alive. Just think, I gotta get better positioning, I gotta get better positioning. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then finally, awareness. Make sure that you are paying attention to your surroundings. Where is your team at? Where is the enemy team at? Make sure that and this is maybe kind of slash aggression a little bit too. Make sure we're not sprinting into the middle of their whole team and jumping inside of them. Make sure that we are paying attention. That was probably the big one, because we sometimes wouldn't notice where, like, that their entire enemy team was staring at us. Sometimes we wouldn't notice that, like, that our whole team wasn't with us.
Who the hell are you?
Flow of the fight and what ultimates are being used and things like that. And also, like, health bars and who's in front of us. The primary team standing. Overall, that one was probably a bit more of a medium priority. Other minor things that for positioning that I forgot, make sure that you are using high ground properly, not, you know, like we talked about over here, don't stand next to the edge where 5 people can see you. Also, don't drop from high ground if you don't need to, right? Don't drop into the middle of a team. Overall, number 1 probably comes to positioning / survivability. Like I said, pretty much just focus on the positioning aspect, and survivability will come with it. Number 2 comes awareness. Number 3, now this kind of drops after awareness, it drops significantly as a tier. Now these are just kind of some more minor things to tweak. Next, I'd say probably comes your visor usage, then your mechanics, and then your ability usage. But it's a very major drop off in comparison to those top things to work on. And that is about it. Any questions?
Tactical
All right, sounds good. I will get you your